Hello and welcome back to another video. Today we're continuing our series where we're managing Nottingham Forest in the most realistic way we possibly can. Today we're starting off by signing Jesse Lingard. It's just towards the end of the transfer window and I thought because he joined in real life he might be a good addition. We also, while we were looking for Jesse Lingard, saw that Davy Selke was another good option on the free agents list. With us needing another backup striker, I thought he was a good backup choice. So they've both joined and they're going straight into the team for the first match of this episode, which is against Everton. So Everton, unlike in real life, have probably been bought out by someone very rich because they do have a number of very good players. Not only have they managed to keep Richarlison, who's an 84 rated, but you might have noticed just then in central midfield they have Jude Bellingham. I'm not saying it's something that I think is realistic, but it's something that Rafa Benitez has done on this save. We got off to a decent start with a good save from Richarlison's effort, and then obviously Keenan Davies there just about missing the ball when he was trying to toe poke it past Jordan Pickford, but it was Everton who were going to be on top for the majority of the game. They got away with a pretty dangerous tackle there before crossing it into Andros Townsend, who couldn't quite slot it past Brice Samba. And Richarlison had another chance with Sigurdsson and Bellingham linking up well, but Joe Worrell proved that he could in fact still defend at this level. However, his pass was poor and Richarlison was there to curl it straight past Brice Samba. With Everton playing Decore as a left winger, he was still somehow faster than Joe Worrell, and Sigurdsson did a nice karate kick before Richarlison managed to get it back to Sigurdsson, and then he's managed to score a goal. I'm not sure why he's in their first 11, maybe the criminal proceedings against him have been dropped, but I think any sort of semblance of realism that this save had has gone out the window with this Everton team we're playing against. Maitland-Niles tried to equalise and did a quite powerful shot, managed to be saved onto the crossbar by Pickford. It was a decent effort and it was probably the only real chance of the first and second half that Forest had that was actually on target. Bellingham proved why he's so good and in the England squad, and Sigurdsson managed to get a second after a cutback from Richarlison. Really, this was the Bellingham show. He's the sort of player that can dominate matches, and he absolutely did in this one. They've also signed Grimaldo at left wing back, and you can see here how deadly he was before linking up with Jude Bellingham right there. There was still a few minutes of the second half left, and it looked like Spence was going to go on one of his textbook mazy runs. He saw Brennan Johnson, but the pass went straight through to Davies. Davies chipped it through, and Brennan Johnson had Forest's last attack of the game. With the match fizzling out, there was some murmurs of discontent from the fans. Apparently they'd heard a rumour that Steve Cooper couldn't lose any more matches. A 4-0 down against Everton, something they'd done similarly last year when they started off really poorly. It looked like time was going to slowly run out for Steve Cooper. They managed to hold off for just a 4-0 loss, despite Everton having a couple of late chances right at the end of the half and a late lash out from Maitland-Niles there, earning him a yellow card. But as Steve Cooper prepared to continue his job, he had a few loans declined. He was interested in getting Issa Kabore, he was interested in getting Conor Gallagher in on loan. As he prepared to take training the next day, he came into work and found out that his contract had been terminated. Not only was he no longer Forest manager, but his agent had only managed to pick out a couple of really bad options. He had Fulham, Blackpool, Portsmouth, he had Rotherham in the Championship, Sheffield Wednesday, Caen in France and Toulouse, but none of them were really that interesting to Steve Cooper. As he was still the manager of Wales, he decided that it was probably better just to wait until after the World Cup. After a decently successful spell with Wales in Qatar, he did manage to find a slightly better offer. It looked like Los Lille were interested in signing Steve Cooper. They hadn't had the best start to the year, they were currently mid-table in 9th place, but Steve Cooper had no problem with signing that contract. He doubled his wages from what he was on at Forest, and he was ready to shine in the French top division.
Mesdames et messieurs, je vous demande à présent d'accueillir votre nouvel entraîneur.
With a new team to find out about and some new players that he'd never ever even heard of, it was time for Steve Cooper to learn who was in his new team. Well, he had Yilmaz and Horta up front, a decent if fairly old combination. He had Gonçalves, who used to play for Nottingham Forest, and Lazzari being a very defensive right side of midfield. He had two giants at centre-back in Sven Botman and Jose Fonte. Of course, Fonte used to be a Premier League regular. And then he had Bamba and Ronaldo on the left, another decently defensive option, before having Zeka and Bissouma, who'd returned to Lille after a spell with Brighton, to be his midfielders. In reserve, he had Amadou and Onana, who were two decent options if he needed a bit more physicality, but he really did like this squad. As he took training to learn a little bit more about the players, it was clear straight away that they had all of the technique, and it looked like Yilmaz was a lethal finisher. This was everything that Steve Cooper needed in a squad: a good finisher, some good technical players, and the work rate, height and pace to make them an effective physical presence in the French First Division. And it wasn't actually too long until the season would get started. It looked like Andrei Yarmolenko could be a good option off the wing, with in training him impressing with his cutting in ability. Angel Gomez is another player that Steve Cooper had coached in the England youth system, so he was another player that he knew, and it did help him settle in a little bit faster. In defence, Sven Botman was a wanted man in the summer, but he managed to stay at Lille alongside Jose Font. It's not clear how long he'll be staying at Lille, but it's looking like it'll be until at least the end of the season. Steve Cooper did have some ideas for transfers he wanted to make, and there was a certain returning player that he was really interested in who hadn't played for them for about 10 years. But unfortunately, Eden Hazard had a grudge for the first couple of transfer windows, so it wasn't actually possible for Lille to sign him straight away. We will sign some big names towards the end of this video, so make sure you stick around if you're interested in seeing who they are. But all of a sudden, it was time for the first French match of Steve Cooper's career. He was against Stade Bressois at a home match, so it was always going to be good to have his home fans in Lille, a short Eurostar trip away from his home in London, on his side. It was a strong team he put out, and probably a team you'll see for most of the season. Jardim is a top goalkeeper in the French First Division, so no problems there. Two rapid fullbacks and two giant centre-backs, more pace on the wings and good physicality in midfield, before Yilmaz was the target man and Horta was the deep lying forward in a 4-4-2 formation. Lille didn't need long to have the first chance. Yilmaz combined well with Portuguese midfielder Zeka, who tried to play it through to Bamba, and it was a great finish. Only 3 minutes into our career and we'd already scored a goal. This was already going a lot better than the Premier League season did. It might be true that the French league is slightly easier, but with flair players like Ronaldo on your side, chipping it over attacking players is always going to be fun. He nearly got on the end of a second 1-2 in just 3 passes, but unfortunately he wasn't quite through on goal. Just before the half an hour mark, it was time for some defending from Lille. With some decent wing play from Brest, they got down the outside before Favre managed to get it out to the winger Honorat. What a tackle from Lazzari, and this showed the passion that you'll need to play in the Steve Cooper way. It showed that Lille already had this instilled in them from just a few training sessions, and every single player was showing flair and tenacity, including Diego Gonçalves right there, before Brest managed to show some aggression of their own. Bissouma was playing as both the destroyer and the creator in midfield for us. He was tackling everyone. He was also starting our counter-attacks, including this one here, that resulted in a Horta long shot, which was very well saved by the French goalkeeper. Zeka managed to pass it out to Lazzari just after the hour mark, and it was time for Diego Gonçalves to do a counter of his own. With an early cross going in, it took a really good interception to stop any chances there of a second Lille goal. It was Burak Yilmaz who was influential in the next move. He managed to funnel it out to Ronaldo, the overlapping fullback, and Gonçalves couldn't quite get the header. But Burak got his and Bamba got the volley away, and it was just about saved again. Lille were absolutely on top, and with the game fizzling out, it looked like there was going to be one last attack from Brest. So they managed to play it around the middle a little bit. Acosta, of course the American Kellen Acosta, couldn't quite do anything with it, and the game would end 1-0. What a start, a goal after 3 minutes and a win on your debut in charge of Lille. It was a dream day for Steve Cooper. As he applauded the crowd and got ready to do one of his trademark fist bumps, I need you guys to let me know if you want to see more of this career mode now that I've been fired from Nottingham Forest. I know a big part of it was that I knew quite a lot about Forest, so I could give you little insights here and there into the save, and now that I'm a manager of Lille, I probably can't do that same kind of thing. The reason I decided to move on from Forest is that I probably will do a save with them on FIFA 23 as well, and I didn't want you guys to get burnt out of Forest because I've been doing it for almost a year already, and I thought Lille was another good team that I like using on FIFA career mode and always recommend you use, so I thought I'd give them a go. But if you guys don't want to see this anymore, just feel free to give the video a dislike, or if you want to see it continue, feel free to like it or leave a comment, anything like that. Message me on Discord or on Twitter, however you want to get in touch and let me know what I should do with the save. Please do let me know. But that's all we've got for today's video. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you very soon for another video. Thank you and goodbye.